Elder abuse is very complex. When we're looking at even what elder abuse is, it can be physical abuse, it can be emotional abuse, it can be sexual abuse, neglect, maltreatment, financial exploitation, and very often it's many of those things at the same time.
Nationally, we know that 1 in 10 individuals over the age of 60 will be victimized by abuse or neglect or exploitation. But we are hearing only a small portion of the cases that occur.
I really want people like me to be able to find help and to trust the systems. Ultimately, that's what I want. I want to trust the systems. What I believe is that if someone calls the Minnesota Elder Justice Center, they will take the person seriously.
When we created the Minnesota Elder Justice Center, we were intentional about the areas of work that we felt were really required in order to address elder justice issues, and they have become sort of our 3 pillars of work today. And they really are the direct service to victims, the training and education for professionals, the general public, those working with older adults, and then broader policy and systems change. The value of our advocacy services are critical because very often when older adults or loved ones come to the realization that this abuse is occurring, they don't know who to turn to, they're not sure where to go, they're not sure they'll be believed, and they don't always want kind of a criminal justice or formal response that would cause, in their mind, harm.
Back in 2010, our family had made a difficult decision for my mom to move into an assisted living center following a nursing home stay. And within just the first few days, there was confusion about her meds. They were different than what we had organized and actually what her doctors had ordered. And then quite often we would notice that a medication was missing. And when we went back to staff to find out what was going on, it was just always confusing. And the more this happened, the more difficult the relationship became with the staff.
Cases like Sandy's are ones that we hear frequently, and it's very difficult for a victim who has a dementia or cognitive impairment to express their own victimization. And so family members contact us sort of when they are at their kind of lowest point.
And I wanted to advocate on my mom's behalf, but it was always a challenge because as we discovered more issues, I felt like we were believed less and less.
It's essential and critical that they have somebody to listen to them and to believe them and then try and walk them through options.
If the Minnesota Elder Justice Center had existed even 8-9 years ago, I think our family experience would have been different. When you have a loved one who, like my mom, had Alzheimer's and Lewy body disease, you already are facing a really difficult situation as a family. It's so heartbreaking because these were the last couple of years of my mom's life, and I had to spend so much energy on this when I could have just been with her.
Professional training and education is really critical. It's how we partner and work with other advocates or aging service providers, social service, law enforcement, prosecutors statewide. We can train and work with long-term care staff, with domestic violence advocates, attorneys, with bankers, not only to train them about what to look for and what to do if they suspect elder abuse, but also how to support them as they are working with someone who might be a victim.
One of the myths associated with elder abuse is that it is at the hands of strangers. The majority of cases of elder abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation occur within the construct of the family.
We both don't want to think about our older adult neighbors, loved ones being in that situation. We also can't often imagine that it could happen. How could somebody do that to somebody that they love? Especially when we know that very often it's a trusted loved one that's perpetrating elder abuse.
In my situation, here I was, someone who was very aware of the kinds of harm that could come to older people. And what I learned at one point was that my nephew had been increasingly calling on my mom for very, very large sums of money. He was alternately guileful and winning, and at other times he was really quite menacing. She wanted to help him. And then she would turn her head and say, "Oh, I'm so stupid. He's an addict. He's just coming for my money." And so we were able to work with a financial professional and her bank and her attorney to put her in a much more secure situation.
Our goal as a statewide agency isn't necessarily that we can do everything to solve this problem, but that we can help kind of build a team of Minnesotans who are armed with this information, armed with the training and the knowledge of where to go for help and how to help people within their communities.
In the late 1970s in Minnesota, there were laws that mandated the report of harm to a domestic animal. There were certainly child abuse protection laws and mandated reporting laws for teachers and others. But there was absolutely no law on the books in Minnesota requiring caregivers and other professionals to report suspected abuse, neglect, or exploitation of a vulnerable adult who was over the age of 18.
I'm proud that we've been able to most recently advance into our policy and systems change work. That is essential for working in vulnerable adult or elder justice issues. We can work to solve a problem just with an individual, but if we don't carry that work through and look at it at the legislature or look at it with systems and policies, we're not going to make advancements for the state. 5 years in, I am really proud of the work that our staff and our board and our partners have done to make sure that these services are available in Minnesota.
Elder abuse is not a topic people like to talk about, but it is important that we talk about it. And I know this is an organization that is committed to solutions.
And it's really to ensure that elder abuse isn't happening, ideally. But if it is, how can we mitigate that, stop it sooner, and prevent it from happening to someone else?
From the care of the individual, the help for the individual, to education in the community and for professionals, and for the continuous effort to improve our laws and systems for the protection of vulnerable adults. Therein, you've got it. That's the Minnesota Elder Justice Center.